The Gran Colombia was a South American republic that existed from 1819 to 1831. In the context of the Spanish-American Wars of Independences, this Latin American state, despite its short duration, enjoyed great prestige and international recognition, and with total reason, because this country had a gigantic potential as a world power. However, it ended up dissolving and becoming the current countries of Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, and Venezuela. Undoubtedly, in theory, the Gran Colombia had the potential to become one of the most powerful countries in the world and very likely to compete with the United States of America for the hegemony of the continent. The territories of Gran Colombia developed a great agricultural and livestock tradition. This in order to develop a subsistence economy. Gran Colombia produced corn, wheat, coffee, cocoa, grapes, tobacco, sugar, quinine, cotton, among others. This country was host to a large amount of mineral resources like iron, coal, sulfur, and it had another huge amount of precious minerals like gold or silver. The industry of Gran Colombia was never numerous and it was always underdeveloped. The few industries in the country were very basic, such as the metallurgical industry or the textile industry. This was largely due to the economic isolation of the Spanish Empire, which administered its colonies in a closed and monopolistic manner. However, with its independence, it had within its territory everything necessary to develop it. However, all that is from the point of view of the theory. In practice, the situation was much more complicated. Although the land of Gran Colombia was very rich in every sense, it lacked what was necessary to take advantage of its potential. The War of Independence had lasted more than 2 decades, and had bled the country in many ways. Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador and Panama lost between 20 and 40% of their entire population as a result of the war. At the end of their existence, Gran Colombia had approximately 2,500,000 inhabitants. In comparison, Brazil had more than 5 million, America more than 10 million, and Britain almost 25 million. As you might imagine, this loss of population made the fields lose a lot of labor to work the land. This caused agriculture and livestock, pillar of the Gran Colombian economy, to fall into depression. And the issue of the population is one of the least important things, because in its short existence, the Gran Colombia was extremely unstable politically. The country had many of the so-called caudillos, who were warlords, veterans of the War of Independence with much influence, who defended a federal model, while Gran Colombia had a centralist or unitary model. These warlords were the ones who in the end, carried out the internal rebellions that disintegrated this country. And also, the government of Gran Colombia was not so democratic either. In 1828, Simon Bolivar, a great figure of the Spanish-American independences and president of Gran Colombia, proclaimed himself dictator of the South American country. This led to an attempted coup d'état that same year, where rebels led by Francisco de Paula Santander, warlord and former ally of Bolivar, tried unsuccessfully to assassinate him. During its short existence, the Gran Colombia had bad relations with the United States of America. The American minister in Gran Colombia, William Henry Harrison, was very critical of Bolivar and his authoritarianism, and on several occasions suggested the establishment of a liberal democracy in the country. This made Bolivar say his iconic phrase about America. The United States seems destined by Providence to plague the Americas with famine and miseries in the name of freedom. After the attempted coup of 1828, Harrison was accused of being a suspect. However, they could not do anything to him because he had already embarked back to his country, and years later he would become President of America. Finally, in 1831, a new constitution comes into force that only New Granada, today known as Colombia, recognizes, while Venezuela and Ecuador ignored this and wrote their own constitutions. This is recognized as the end of the Gran Colombia. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Remember that you can leave your opinion in the comments and tell me if you want a video about a particular topic.